Welcome to the Film Production Podcast Halloween Special. Woo! Hello.
Very spooky.
Thank you.
Yeah, we love to see it.
That's a way to start, isn't it?
I'm glad everyone was frightened right there.
Honestly,
I'm so
my
terrified.
heart came out here and then it went back.
Amazing.
I don't
shook.
have a heart. It was surgically removed 3 years ago.
Okay. Hi everyone. Today on the podcast is the Halloween special.
Halloween special
Ooh.
indeed.
We have Steph.
Hi.
We have Barney.
Hello.
We have Aidan
Hello.
again.
Again.
Can't get rid of me.
I know he's always here. He's just hanging out.
I've completed a nice trilogy now.
This is your story arc coming to a close.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, like Lord of the Rings.
Hell yeah.
Relatable.
I have such an obsession with that film.
To people who haven't seen it, shame on you, honestly.
If you haven't seen it, go watch it right now.
Should I just leave then?
Have you not
Yeah.
watched Lord of the Rings?
How?
That's actually kind
What?
of shocking.
I'm disappointed. I'm very disappointed in you, Aidan.
Okay,
Look
right.
of shame.
So,
I'm sorry.
today we've all been invited here, cordially invited, to talk about spooky films and spooky season, which is coming up in
Ooh.
literally a few days. So whether this podcast is going to be ready for Halloween, I don't know. Probably not.
Spooky season's year round for me, so
Amazing. even
Halloween's
better.
all the time.
So I feel like really we need to kick off with a little bit of chat about what is it about spooky films that entices you? What is the spooky vibe and why do you go for it? And anyone feel free to throw yourself straight in here.
Or just in the deep end.
In the deep
Yeah,
end.
let's go,
Well,
boys.
Spooky
Do you
films give you that adrenaline rush, don't they? You know, you watch them and then they scare you and you go, ah, and then all your friends laugh at you. No, seriously, when you watch spooky films with your friends, all of them will laugh at you if you are the first to scream.
If you
It's
watch
like-
horror films with your friends, they become comedies real quick.
They do
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
as well.
They're not scary anymore, right?
They're not scary,
No,
they're
but-
just funny.
You just see someone get murdered and you laugh at them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just funny.
You end up
That guy
willing,
lost his arm.
You end up willing the person killing to actually win. You don't care about.
It's because
girl
protagonists
was
are
running
either
away
like
anymore.
really unlikable or really dumb.
Yeah. Like, oh, I heard a spooky noise in the basement. Let me go by myself unarmed to see what it was.
Yeah, I feel like the what is so as far as I can tell already, spooky is about the companionship of friendship, right?
Hell yeah.
Is that you
Well,
know?
it's
how it
different if
flows?
you're with
Scary
friends.
when you're
If
with
you're
your
on your
friends.
own, then you're allowed to get scared.
Yeah.
I think.
If
'Cause
you
you
were
don't have to
your
admit it.
friends, that's it. I remember over summer, me and a few friends were at a friend's house and we watched It. Became a comedy. We were just laughing. George got his arm
Yeah.
bit off. Haha, funny.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. They get. I
That's
mean,
sick. Poor George.
is that not a consequence of seeing so many spooky films that you sort of,
Probably.
you know,
I went through a
blind to it?
phase.
Desensitized.
yeah.
I went through a phase when I was like 15 where all I watched was scary films. Like, that was it. Just horror films. I didn't watch anything else. And my mum kept saying to me, oh, if you watch horrible things, then horrible things are going to happen to you. I'm still here, so...
You haven't
there you
been
go.
Texas Chainsaw Massacred yet.
Not yet.
I mean,
A few days' time. Give me a few days.
Few days. Thanks, Barney. If I die after this podcast is released, it was Barney.
amazing. Okay. Well, this is your testimony then.
Yes.
This is already
Barney.
This is already scaring me, guys. I'm already spooked.
Just went to town of Salem real quick.
Okay, so everyone's favorite horror film.
Do I have to choose? You're really making me choose like this
Christ.
on the spot.
Shall I go then? Because I do have one.
Go on then.
Okay.
You
go
actually
on.
go ahead.
Well, of course, on Halloween, what do you watch? Halloween.
Oh, amazing.
Yes.
Oh,
course.
the generic answer.
Yes, but I go deep on Halloween. I'm like,
Oi,
I go
Oi, oi.
I go in on all the sequels, all the way I can. That's like
Aren't there like 7 Halloween movies or something
there
now?
are 11, I think,
11?
Wow.
and 4 timelines, and 3 reboots.
It's almost
Oh
as
my
bad as
God.
Saw.
Yeah.
It's almost as
But
bad
that's what I'm
as
saying.
Friday 13th.
Over summer, I watched them all because I'd only seen Halloween 1, 2, and then the latest one, which is also called Halloween, which complicates it a bit. But in fact, there's 3 films in the franchise just called Halloween, so that really doesn't help. But I thought, let's watch all the other sequels. So I watched them all. Some of them are brilliant. I think Halloween 7, H20, or H2O, as it's actually called. That film is amazing. So 90s, but amazing. Halloween's 5, 6, and 8, probably some of the worst films I've ever seen.
Amazing.
Not just worst horror films, they're dreadful films. They are awful.
Oh, yeah, most horror films I've seen that are bad, usually like the worst I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Oh no, I've seen some abysmal horror films, some truly atrocious films.
I mean, I saw one on Amazon Prime the other day called Inbred. That was very.
Oh, lovely.
Okay,
It was about.
Oh dear.
It was about a Yorkshire town.
of course.
Surprised not about
Of course it
Mansfield.
Was it made in the
Yorkshire.
south?
I don't know. I
If
think
it was
probably
South
was.
Yorkshire,
I think
I'm
it was-
going to throw hands.
it's
I'm
probably
from
made
South Yorkshire.
in Yorkshire, I imagine,
Oh,
on
God.
location. It was wild. Don't watch it. Honestly,
No,
it was.
I'm not adding that one
Yeah,
to my
a
list.
wild
I can
one.
tell you that.
They exploded someone with poo.
I can
Oh
do
my
you
God,
one
Michael
worse
Bay.
though. I can actually do you
Amazing.
worse. Have you? I assume that you've all seen The Breakfast Club, right?
Yes.
That
Iconic.
famous horror film, The
No,
Breakfast
no, no. This is in relation
Oh
to
no,
it though,
detention.
because I saw a film that was The Breakfast Club, but was in a prison, and there was a psychopath running around murdering them, and it was called
What?
Deadly Detention, and it's the worst
Oh
film
my
I've ever seen.
Deadly detention.
I haven't even rated it on my Letterboxd because I was just like, I can't give it less than 1. It was so
That's
bad.
How long
God.
was it? Was it a full length film?
It was a full-length film, and it was essentially The Breakfast Club, but they were all idiots. They were in a prison. There was a serial killer, except he was so. The twist at the end wasn't that who it was, but he was so inept at killing people that everyone got away with their lives.
amazing.
Nobody
So
died.
actually, everyone wins.
What?
It was awful. It was one of
That'd be
the worst
good for the
films I've
kill
ever
count
seen
channel.
in my life.
Sounds horrible. Okay, so my favourite horror film probably has to be Coraline, 2009.
amazing.
I was going to say that's
Technically
my
a kid's
favourite.
film.
You stole that favourite
Well,
from me.
it's my favourite, so technically a kid's film, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I genuinely thought it was terrifying, both as a kid and now. So, I mean, to be fair, if I woke up in an alternate dimension and my mum and dad had buttons for eyes, I'd just be terrifying as it is.
Yeah.
I
So-
think what really sells Coraline is the claymation, though, right?
Yeah.
It is one of the most
animation was
incredible
brilliant.
claymation films. I've
Leica
ever
are so they're such a good company for that as well.
Mm.
They've done such good things, and it was Henry Selick directed as well.
seen. Really?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Who directed
actually.
it?
Henry Selick.
Oh, wow.
He did Nightmare Before Christmas as well.
Yeah, everyone thinks that Nightmare Before Christmas was Tim Burton.
Nah.
No.
So he did some of it. He designed the characters, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he was a
I think
producer.
he was a producer. Yeah.
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 So, but it wasn't directed by him. But everyone's like, "Oh, it's my favorite Tim Burton film." It's like, is it really Tim Burton though?
You
Yeah,
might
it's-
want to check your facts there.
Okay,
Coraline, does it spook you, or is it just a good film that has spooky elements?
I think both. Because to be fair, there is some of it which is genuinely terrifying, like both as a kid and now. But then again, I just spook easy, so. But like, I think the scene like where Coraline's hunting for the 3 eyes, and one of them's in her neighbour's thing with the gymnasts,
Oh,
and they're
yeah.
inside
big
that
screen.
shell, and she's trying to like pull it away from them. That was creepy. That was terrifying to me.
Yeah, there's some real moments in that film. But I mean, same to Aidan. Like, do you think Halloween is like inherently scary now, or is it more to do
Oh,
with?
not now. I watched it with some people recently, and yeah, it's not scary now. I can imagine in 1978 it was, because essentially,
Terrifying.
I mean, some people say Psycho is the first slasher film. Some people say Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the first slasher film, but technically it's actually Halloween, because then the structure of slasher that came after Halloween is borrowed from Halloween. So at the time, there weren't really that many masked killers going around killing people. That was quite a new concept, people jumping out of doorways and that kind of thing. But you watch it now, and it's nice spooky music, but I've never watched it and gone, because it just doesn't have that
Is that because it's old though? Maybe as well. Is it? Is
I don't
it
know,
an
I think
age
I
thing?
just-
Probably,
It's like
yeah.
it's become the industry standard for horror. You get a build up of the music, and then I think it's an American thing where they build up the music and then they drop the music off and there's no payoff, and then they turn around and there is a payoff.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's a very American concept, but that's what
jump scare.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Alfred Hitchcock was definitely like the forefather of horror because he was crowned the king of suspense. But I feel like since around 2014, 15, horror just is not the same. Every horror film that's been released, for maybe the excuse of Us, just hasn't done it for me.
Oh, but there are still some great names in horror at the moment.
Yeah.
James
Oh, yeah.
Wan and Mike Flanagan.
James Wan's brilliant.
And Lee Wannell as well, or 1L, however you want to say it. Those three names
How-
are single-handedly saving horror.
However, James Wan, he's kind of killed it off a bit with The Curse of La Llorona.
I've still not seen it, so
It's bad.
my opinion. Well, he was
He-
only an exec producer on that, so that probably just means he showed up and went, yep, and then cleared off. the rest of it.
Probably, because he is
Just throwed his
an
money at
absolute
it a little
god
bit.
of horror. Like,
Sorry,
he
I've got
created
to go
Saw.
and spend lots of money.
He was busy on Aquaman and Fast and Furious 7, wasn't
Oh
he? So-
gosh.
So what films did they make? Sorry. Can you,
He created the Conjuring universe and
The
Saw
Conjuring
And Insidious.
and Insidious.
Oh my god! I was about to say Insidious is literally my favorite film of
Insidious
all time.
That's your
brilliant.
favourite
It's
horror.
one of my
Yeah.
favorite horror films of all time. Yeah, I
That's
actually,
brilliant,
I
that
think,
To be
I
fair.
think the world building is incredible, and I really
Yeah.
love the concept. more
I
than
really
anything.
enjoyed Insidious 1 and 2. 3, when it kind of fell off me. 4, I was just, I'm done with this. Nah.
Yeah, the first one and second. Well, the first one and the second one like make sense as like a
Mm.
back-to-back sort of, what do you call a not trilogy? A duology? A duology?
Duology?
I don't know.
Original and sequel.
Yeah, I
Original
suppose.
There's
sequel,
no word for it.
basically.
There should be a word for it. But anyway, the first two are good because obviously they lead on from each other.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know.
I
don't
do
remember the third
love
one at
the
all.
cliffhanger
Not good.
of the first one, where she takes a photograph of her husband and surprise,
Yes.
he's possessed still,
Yeah.
which leads
Spoiler
on
alert.
Quick
perfect.
spoiler
Yeah.
warning.
Wow.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, spoilers.
Wow. Spoiler
First of
alert.
all,
I mean, the film is over 10 years old now. It came out
It
in
is.
2010, so I
Yeah.
feel like if you've
Fair
not seen
point.
it by now, honestly, any film that's older than like a year now is honestly fair.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
as we
fair
get
game.
deeper, I'm going to, of course, be talking about my 30s and 40s horrors, so that's well
30s,
overdue a
40s.
spoiler warning, isn't it?
Just a bit.
They're nearly 100 years old, so...
Wow. Imagine the original horrors, the power couples of horror. I mean, Barney, you didn't actually say what your
I
favorite
didn't actually.
film was.
No, Steph stole Caroline from me, so I'm gonna go.
Sorry.
It's fair because at least we got to talk about it. I'll go with my favorite being Hellraiser.
I've
that
never
is-
seen it.
I've not seen it. How have I?
Choice.
Not loads of people have, but you must have heard of Pinhead.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I have
Oh,
seen it. Yes, I have seen
absolutely.
it,
Yeah.
Yes. Yes,
That's Hellraiser.
The
Oh.
the
That's
first
Hellraiser.
ever Comic Con I went to, a guy was there as Hellraiser, and it was so cool.
Yeah.
This is the first time I saw other people in cosplay apart from me and the internet. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, yeah. Lots of people know what he looks like, but nobody's
what film.
seen the film.
mm,
And I think the only reason the film is still good is because they use practical effects a lot.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
practical effects in that still look great. The costume design on Pinhead and his little cohort Cenobites, they still look utterly terrifying.
mm.
And I love that design.
And even though it's like super 80s,
80s,
leather
yeah.
and studs sort of
Yeah.
power sort of film, there's a scene where somebody, if I'm right, gets literally ripped apart, don't
Oh
they?
yeah.
And that is
God.
incredible. And you
Quick,
sort of...
quick spoiler warning for this film. But towards the end, they get kind of, I'm going to call him the antagonist, and he gets lifted up by the chains, and he just like sat there, and they just pull him apart, and
Yeah.
he just explodes.
Gosh,
It's
But it's-
maddening.
Sometimes you watch these old films and you sort of go, well, I can see how they did that. That's just
yeah,
a
It's
bit of
crazy.
fake blood and that. But that's actually one of those ones you sort of think, actually, that's quite believable considering it's over
Yeah.
30 years
I-
old now.
Yeah.
definitely prefer practical effects over CGI just any day of the week. Just I feel like it's such a big part of filmmaking to the point where filmmakers have got lazy and they either fix it in post or just add CGI, and it's like,
Yeah.
can we not?
It's just
So-
with practical effects, you kind of know that the actors are stood there and they're looking at that. What
Yeah.
they're seeing is actually what you're seeing as well. It's
Yeah.
exactly the same.
You get a more
So,
authentic reaction.
yeah, when you see something like that happen, you kind of go, their reactions is quite real.
Yeah, I remember watching the behind the scenes of it, and the first time the actors saw Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise was when they filmed the house scene when the loser gang first see Pennywise. And I remember Wolf Hard doing an interview, and he was like on set that day, and he was like, "Yeah, some of the reactions you're gonna see today is gonna be genuine horror because we've never seen Bill in full Pennywise get up." So
Yeah, that makeup was incredible. And that
It
thing he can
was.
do with his eyes is
His performance
freaky
as well.
too.
yeah. Oh, his
Top-notch.
performance as Pennywise.
It made the film.
Miles better than Tim Curry. I absolutely love and adore Tim Curry, but his It was way better than Tim Curry's in the
Yeah.
You
80s.
think that the sequel, the new film was better than the original?
Oh god, no. The new film. Oh yeah, I thought they meant the second
the
film.
new films, are they better than
The first one-
original 80s? Is it the 80s? I don't
90.
remember.
When Tim Curry made
It was 90s,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
80s,
Well, it was
90s.
It was Pennywise comes back every 17 years, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, I think
So it was 17 years.
I think it was
prior.
1990.
1990, yeah, because they did it exactly 17 years after.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was
That one.
so
Basically,
clever.
I think the first film is better than the original. The second one was terrible.
Second one's a straight up comedy at times.
Oh yeah.
I liked the
Like,
second one, but
dude,
it went
you
on
gotta
for
lose
way
that
too
mullet.
long.
It's not the 70s. What?
Gosh,
The,
I just did not like
I think
it.
the CGI in the final scene, the final battle scene, is wild, and it just I was like, this is almost action, not scary
Yeah.
horror.
Yeah.
It was a bit.
Just
I
the
don't
way
know.
that they defeated
Yeah.
Pennywise as well, by him
I will
becoming
verbally
this small
abuse
little
you.
baby and then ripping out his heart. It's like,
But
what
isn't
is
that
this?
surely that's the ending from the book? I've not read the book,
I
but
ha-
surely it's the ending
I
from the
tried
book.
to read the book, but it's over 1,000 pages long.
Yeah, that's the
and
problem
also,
with Stephen King. You think it's a good idea, and then you
Stephen
realise
King,
Also,
you've been
Jesus
reading it
Christ.
for 5
Also-
years and you've not got past the first chapter.
Anyway, Stephen King was an amazing writer, sort of. Moving swiftly on,
Okay.
we are going to talk about. We need to discuss why do you think you fans of horror could do any better than the current horror that is out at the moment? How would you reinvent the power and the genre of horror to really give people that spooky
Well, that's
spooky
assuming
side?
I'm
Oh, I
not a fan of
wouldn't.
the current state of horror. Shall I be on the defensive of current
I mean, if
horror?
you'd
You
like-
can
if
play
you'd like to be
defensive
devil's
if you want,
advocate.
but like the current state of horror is
you
no
get
good
it,
at all.
guys?
You don't.
Because I finished Bly Manor last night, and I'm in a very positive state about the current state of horror.
I would just say I wouldn't do horror films, especially as a student. Student horror films are such a cliche. Not a fan. So-
well, why though? Can you tell me why?
They all
they
kind
are
of do the same
cliché?
thing, and a lot of them go for shock value other than actual authentic filmmaking. Because I remember one of the first films I made was a thriller. Not a horror, because everyone else did a horror and they were terrible. Basically, it's always set at night in a spooky place. Someone always gets stabbed. There's way too much fake blood, and it just looks tacky. Like, they don't do it well at all.
Fair enough.
Like, I understand that they have a very restrictive budget, but even with a restrictive budget, you can probably do something else which doesn't require fake blood and everyone getting stabbed and, some actual good writing.
Okay. Makes sense why they're terrible. But how would you, with the similar budget, how would you actually do, instead of a thriller necessarily, but how would you really get back into the horror? What would sell a student horror film to you, you know?
A genuine original idea. Because a lot of them, as I just said, very same. Someone gets an anonymous phone call, they get stabbed. I'd rather it be more... I don't know, someone who gets stalked. I know that's a cliche also, but I feel like if it's done right, it can be done properly. I feel like if they got stalked and they got notes every day and it kind of like had a build up rather than jump scare, blood, stab, knife,
Yeah.
So I think a genuine, kind of a build up to something happening would be better, because a lot of student films are very sudden, very jump scary.
Could that also be to do with a potential time restriction that you might have? Like how, can you have you guys ever seen a good 5-minute horror film?
Actually, yes. Well, I think it was slightly over 5 minutes, but there was this animated one called The Sandman, which was utterly brilliant. It's I think it's the same kind of animation Leica use, but it was based on, I think, a European myth where this kid like goes to his bed, and that's the most terrifying bit, walking through his house at night. The climax of it is though that the Sandman does kind of enter his room and try and scare him awake. And I won't say any more on it, but that was a short film. I think slightly over 5 minutes, but it was a short film, and it was horror, and it was fantastic.
I have seen a couple of good 1-minute horror films. There was a horror festival, I'm pretty sure, at some point. I think it was over lockdown, where people would be making horror films in their house, and there was a couple of really good 1-minute short horror films that generally were like, ooh, that was kind of spooky, you know, gave you a little cheeky chill. But I don't know, maybe I'm not good enough at horror.
Maybe.
You know?
I feel like it does take a certain kind of person to create good horror. As I said, James Wan, Alfred Hitchcock, biggest names in horror, but in terms of like behind the camera. But I feel like it's just a very hard kind of genre to get right, if you know what I mean.
Without it sort of cheaping out.
Yeah, without it seeming cheap or it accidentally coming across as funny.
I think for me, I mean, I might monologue slightly here, but I think when people make horror films, they go, right, I'm going to make something scary, and that's all they focus on. I think like you were saying about that, just people try to shock, and that is where they fall down. Because if you are just trying to go, and here's something you're not expecting, it's like, yeah, we are. I've seen a million horror films. I saw that coming. It's the ones that work the best, I think, are ones when they put like a proper message behind it. And I don't mean just a sort of PSA, sort of this issue is important sort of thing, because those sort of things drive me insane. But like something that can resonate and actually connect with you. Even though I said like Halloween was my favourite horror film, there's not really any messages behind that, not really.
No.
But as I said earlier, and judging from my t-shirt today, 1930s horror is my second area of expertise. And something about them is like, it's a celebration. I've said this phrase before, but those old films are like a celebration of the macabre. So I say it's sort of like any sort of, at that time, you know, zombies, like Frankenstein is essentially a zombie, or Dracula who murders people, and all these sort of things. That is quite a controversial topic from 1931. But the thing that, although we've moved past that now, we've seen zombies and stuff like that to death, but we still like those sort of films, or at least I do anyway. It's because every single one of the monsters has their own fear. So even though we're scared of them, I mean, I don't ever watch Frankenstein and go, oh, because then it's black and white. I'm not going to be scared of it. But every single one of the monsters has their own fear. It's like Dracula. Essentially, his fear is of death, even though
Garlic.
Yes. No, that came later. No, it's like essentially Dracula, even though he goes around killing people, he's scared of death. He has to kill people to survive. He's lived for hundreds of years, but he doesn't want to die. Frankenstein, I suppose, what is his fear?
Well,
loneliness.
You talk about the monster, because like there's a difference between the two. I don't think the monster was like. Wasn't the point of the story that the monster wasn't really the bad guy?
Yeah, well, when I say Frank, I meant the monster.
He's
there.
a consequence of his environment.
Yeah.
Yes, well, his fear is essentially it's loneliness. I mean, in Bride of Frankenstein, which is an incredible film. That's my second favourite horror film. If we're not going to go, if you're saying Halloween's your generic choice, Bride of Frankenstein, 1935, brilliant film that is. You think it's going to be about the bride, it's not. She's in it for 5 minutes. The rest of it is a contemplation on the monster's loneliness, and there is a line where he finally talks, and he just says, "Alone bad, friends good," and it's like
Cute.
every single one of those
God.
monsters has a fear. And I think what we're saying about what to make horror good is if you just go shock, scares, no, that's not going to do anything. But if you have something that I can connect to, something that can resonate with me, if I can find one of those monsters and find a fear that they have and go, yeah, I don't like that either. Like whether even like the creature from the Black Lagoon doesn't really want change. He's just swimming about, minding his own business, and a few
They just
scientists
find
start
him.
shooting at him, and he's like, "Whoa, what are you doing?" So it's like that's like a fear of change, and he's my favourite monster. So it's sort of like something that resonates with you, and maybe modern horror needs to tap into that more. Which I was saying earlier about I'm wrapping up my point now. Don't worry.
Okay.
I was saying earlier about I'm actually more positive about the current state of horror with people like Lee Wannell, who did the Invisible Man reboot. I was very worried about that because I love the original 1933 Invisible Man. And I thought, how on earth are you going to make that relevant today? And he did. He was like, the Invisible Man...
Was it good? Was the film actually good?
It's brilliant because
Apparently, yeah.
the Invisible Man is not the main character.
It's the other person
Thank
that's
God.
getting attacked by the
It's the
Invisible
woman
Man.
who's being domestically abused by the Invisible Man. And
Yeah.
I've said it, the monster of that film is not just the Invisible Man, but the Visible Man too, because you're scared of him, whether he's invisible or not, and then making it domestic violence and nobody's believing her because he's not invisible. What are you going on about, you psychopathic woman? Like, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It makes it relevant today, and I imagine there's a lot of people that can tap into that and see, okay, I can relate to that.
Yeah.
And I think that's why that film did so well and succeeded.
I didn't even know it did well, to be honest. It sort of dropped kind of off my radar a little
Well,
bit.
I
It
did
did look
Yeah.
like one of those classic kind of, meh horror
I
films. It didn't
feel-
look
Yeah, that's
good.
what I thought. I went to see it
The
expecting
trailers
it to be...
didn't do it favours.
No.
To be fair, I went to see it thinking, okay, I'll give it a go. It's Lee Wannell. I like him. I like the Invisible Man. Let's see what happens. And came away thinking, that was pretty damn decent. But then lockdown happened.
Oh,
The
lovely.
cinemas weren't allowed in cinemas, and nobody else saw it. So
Yeah,
You're
I feel
alone.
like a lot of films this year have just dipped. To be fair, I remember seeing a lot of trailers films this year, last year, and I was like, next year seems pretty bad because I feel like last year had a good run for films. But going back to horror, I feel like another downfall of horror is when they make it too relevant to pop culture, and they aim at teenagers. Because there are films like Smiley, Unfriended, and Slender Man, which are all
Oh my
terrible.
Of which
They're all
I have
terrible.
seen. I've seen all three of those.
Me too.
They're atrocious.
Atrocious. They make it way too trying to appeal to teenage. It's basically old white men thinking, oh yes, what do the kids?
They like their phone and
into-
Skype.
There is the
Yeah.
slender man, the
Oh,
skinny boy,
The Slender
the
Man.
petite
Yes.
human.
that's one of those where they focused on the target audience too far. isn't it?
Yeah.
way
Just
too much. It was
And it was
awful.
just
story
cringe.
first, then target audience afterwards. Don't
Yeah,
go,
like-
right, what do teens like? They like
Yeah.
their phones. Let's make a film about a phone. No,
Yeah.
we don't want that.
Did anyone see Countdown?
Countdown.
It's
no.
It's the one, yeah, not the fun British TV adding show, but
Oh.
the one with the phone where they have an app that's like a death app and it tells you how long until you die.
All right.
No, but I heard
was-
about that one.
I heard
and then
about
it
it.
speeds up, doesn't it? And they get closer and closer to
Yeah, they
death.
try and hack it and then spoilers anyway, but
No one's gonna watch it.
it was I think it runs into the problem that you guys have been addressing of it's trying to appeal to a target audience too much. It's like, oh, kids like apps, kids like their phone, and there's very much, I don't know, they try to also mishmash a load of stuff together. So it's like, oh, there's this countdown app and it's until your death, but then there's also a spooky demon entity that runs the app. Like,
Oh gosh.
why?
How did they
Like,
get
why
that
could
one?
it not?
Even
the
in the
apps.
Like, why?
phone.
Yeah, why don't they make it more like, oh, it's evil corporate people?
It just
Rather
comes
than like
across
a
as
demon.
hello there, fellow kids, way too much.
Yeah, it does
Steve
give that
Buscemi, though.
energy. Yeah.
Actually, speaking of Steve Buscemi and horror films, while we're on this, Adam Sandler's new horror film, Hubie Halloween.
You lost me at Adam Sandler. My brain shuts
No,
down when
but
it
has-
happens.
I'm not an Adam Sandler
Has
fan.
anyone else in this room seen Hubie Halloween?
No.
No.
Right. I knew it was going to be bad, but then it became so bad it's kind of actually quite funny. Like, Steve Buscemi's in it, and he's Steve Buscemi. I love him.
He's a
Adam
yeah.
Sandler is trying so hard to be awful that it's actually funny.
He doesn't need to try.
Well, no, because when he didn't get an Oscar for Uncut Gems, I think he said publicly, right, I'm going to team up with Netflix and I'm going to make the worst film you've ever seen.
Oh
And he
god, I
made
hate
Hubie Halloween.
Netflix horror films.
Yeah.
Oh, is it on Netflix?
Yeah, it's on Netflix. It came out this year as well, and it was.
Yeah, it's just come out, hasn't it?
It
Oh
was.
God.
I ended up watching it twice because
How
I
can you do
I
that
found
to
myself
yourself?
enjoying it, even though it was awful. It was like eye candy.
Oh my god.
Amazing. I might have to go and watch this now, even though again Adam Sandler is a certain special type of guy.
I
I
don't like
like
Adam
Adam
Sandler. He's
Me
not funny.
neither.
He's not
I've
a
never
funny
found
person.
him funny.
Neither is Will Ferrell. Neither of those are
Will
funny.
Ferrell, no.
But
Will
Hubie
Ferrell
Halloween
can
was
be.
actually a good film. I gave it, I think, a 4.
Oh my god.
I
To be
actually-
fair,
I
I
despise
thought you
Will
meant out
Ferrell.
5 and panicked so much.
Netflix is so atrociously bad. Well, they're bad at making films either way, but their horror films are just a different realm of bad. A lot of them. So, 'cause again, a lot of them are very much hello there, fellow kids.
Parrot example.
Parrot
Sylvie
example.
Split.
Hallow's Eve, set in some form of London. Basically, they kidnapped all of these kids, teenagers and like young children, not like 12-year-olds, and like up to like 20-year-olds, because they've been causing havoc and they don't want the young ones around anymore. Basically killed them all, and then the people behind all were the police. And they just
Oh.
couldn't be
Was
asked
this
for them
Children of
anymore.
the Corn?
What?
No. What was this?
Hallow's Eve.
Oh, right.
It was
fair enough.
bad.
I think Netflix also remade The Mist,
Oh
but
my
like made it a
God.
TV series.
Yes, they did.
Yeah. Why would you do that? The film was fantastic.
Because it's
Because reboots.
Netflix. All they care about is money, and they have no dignity left.
Very true.
Same with Disney.
They're not
This feels
Disneying
like the
themselves.
Netflix episode that I was on. I've gone back in time here.
Yeah,
You
I was
had
just
a
about to say
Netflix
that.
episode without me.
Well, I
Been
mean,
there, done that.
Oh
this
my
was
God.
this was last year. To be fair, you know.
We were
pre-
still little
We were
babies
still
at that point.
small college children. Yes.
nearly
are you
children.
first years?
Yes.
Oh,
Hello.
okay.
Fresh blood.
Okay, cursed.
I feel aged and battered.
You're only in second year. Oh my god, how do you think I feel?
When I went through,
Jeez.
first year was lockdown year, wasn't it? I feel like I've been through a lot.
Oh, no.
yeah.
I
Didn't
mean, at
finish
least
it.
you got a freshers. We didn't. Our freshers was drinking with our flatmates and like our social bubble.
Let's
So-
go with
Fair
horror
enough.
films.
And then leaping out the window at Peel Park.
Yeah.
Because I love that when I was on that
Understand.
Netflix episode, we were here talking about the 1930s horror homage film that we were going to make as our second project.
Oh my god,
Never happened,
you
did it?
were. Oh my god, yes. I actually watched a bit of that episode the other day, and I remember, and I was like, oh, you guys, and you guys at the same time say we're in the same group, and it
Yeah.
was really freaky and like kind of scary.
Yeah,
But
that
it
project
was-
never
Can
happened.
play with
Yeah.
us, yeah.
Oh my god, I was actually like, man, I wish that film had been made because I would have loved to see it.
I just like
It
it
sounded
living
wild.
I like it living in people's minds as like the film that never was. People can imagine it being amazing when it actually probably would have been terrible.
Yeah.
So
Good concept though.
So, I have a question here from Jules, which is, do you think audiences prefer going to see horror films from a director they're familiar with or has a particular style, or are they open to just seeing any horror film? What do you guys think?
I am going to say no because I know for a fact that lots and lots of people only know the biggest names in film.
Yeah.
So if you go up to like the average Joe and say, "Oh,
Yeah.
do you like this director?" They probably won't know who they are until you give them an example of their film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when I think when people go to cinemas to see horror films, they just go, "Yeah, look at the trailers. That looks fine. Let's go."
Yeah, I feel like it really depends who you ask. If you ask like film people like ourselves,
Yeah.
obviously we're gonna be like, oh well, I like this director, I like this style. Maybe we'll go see it. I mean, you yourself said you went to see The Invisible Man, The Shakes. You liked the director.
literally the only reason I went.
Yeah, precisely. So I feel like if you just ask an average person like Barney, they wouldn't really care. They're just like, oh, horror film, let's go see it.
So, do you think because we might be, our opinions could actually almost be skewed on this because we are film students?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
we're
I
Oh, yeah,
feel
no,
like-
We're
we've
film
got
students and horror
inherent
buffs,
bias
so-
because of what we do.
Yeah.
It's our own damn fault. But
Yeah, because I think if you asked me, do you go to see? I very rarely will watch a horror film that I know nothing about. Like if I don't know the director, I don't know who's written it, don't know who's in it, I will very rarely watch it. However, if I know who's directed it, boom, I'm going to watch that.
Mm-hmm.
But I imagine there's a lot of, like you said, the average Joe. They won't know. Oh yes, John Carpenter. I know that name. They don't care. They're just gonna go watch a film because it looks like it's gonna. They can throw popcorn in the air.
Yeah.
Amazing. Also, if you're ever on a first date, guys, always take your partner to go see a horror film
I
in
mean,
a cinema.
my
Yeah,
last
that doesn't work.
boyfriend.
No, it does.
that doesn't work.
It does.
I'm telling you, it doesn't work.
No, I'm telling you it
Guys,
does.
Speaking
listen.
from experience, it doesn't
So
work.
I'm speaking from experience, and it does work.
I'm speaking from experience. I went to see Bohemian Rhapsody. The editing in that is a nightmare. And me and my boyfriend stayed together 1 year, 3 months.
That's the true horror.
Yeah, then he broke up with me a few days before my birthday.
I think maybe
Oh my
it depends
God.
how
Oh God.
gruesome the horror film is. I think maybe if you went to see Annabelle, sure, that's quite fun. It scares you around. But if you went to see something like
Oh, Annabelle was terrifying.
one of the 6 Saw ones or something, I think that might. Why
I
are you
I
taking me to
saw-
see
I was going to
this, you
put a crimp on
sicko?
your day, yeah.
Me and my girlfriend, we went to see what was it called, like Satan Baby or something,
Oh my god.
on our first date.
That sounds
And
terrible.
this was in 2014, and we are still together. So
Wow.
I feel like that speaks volumes.
Maybe it's just me.
You need to go watch Satan Baby. I can't
Oh
remember.
my
I can't
God.
even remember what the film was called, but it was wild, and it was
Satan
honestly
Baby.
terrible.
That sounds like
but-
somebody
Yeah.
wanted to make The Omen, but was like, damn it, they've already done that. Satan Baby, let's do that
You know
instead.
what? I feel like the first Omen was brilliant. I actually enjoyed it.
I have the same birthday as The Omen. Ooh.
Ooh.
Maybe you
No.
are the Omen.
I mean, I used to work with a guy called Damien, and his mum watched The Omen while she was pregnant with him, and then decided to call him Damien anyway. I'm like, why would you call your child that after you've seen The Omen?
That's just weird.
Cursed,
Yeah.
That is, yeah, no.
cursed content.
Yeah.
Asking
yeah.
for trouble.
It's I mean, there was another question here actually that I was going
Like
to
this little
but I
Q&A section.
Get your
We've just
questions
gone
out.
off topic.
We're not off
I mean,
topic. We're
guys,
about the Omen.
We've been sat here talking about horror films, but we're forgetting the scariest horror film, the Fred trilogy. That's pretty terrifying because
You
how
can
bad
stop
it is.
right there.
Okay,
I ain't
amazing.
talking about Fred.
What is the best, arguably the best horror then?
Coraline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it-
Best horror film, yeah.
The best. I don't know, because the best. I always make a
Categorically.
distinction between best and favourite. So, like,
No, the best.
So, like, what is the
It
best?
kinda is
I
the
don't know.
best.
Categorically,
We
I
have
would,
to
I'm
decide,
still on
otherwise we're
Coraline.
not leaving.
Categorically, Coraline.
Surely
Yeah.
people don't people say Shining is the best? That's
The
usually
Shining is
seen
not
as-
scary to me.
I don't.
about
The
it.
bit in the
I
bath
hated
scared
The
me.
Shining.
though.
Oh,
hang
the
on,
bit
hang
in the
on, hang
bath
on, hang on,
is
though.
creepy as hell.
How many people do you know? If we're talking best horror film, it's got to have, rewatch value.
Yeah.
How many times have you seen The Shining?
Way too
Once.
many times.
once.
Once. Okay.
At least a dozen.
I watched
Yeah.
Doctor Sleep and was like, I don't remember what
But
happened.
you
Yeah.
watch it, and then because Kubrick films, they're kind of like a bit of a slugfest. You have to really kind of gear yourself up to watch
I
them.
don't like Kubrick.
Thank you. I said I didn't like Kubrick once. Everyone in the film group tried to crucify me.
No, I'm with you.
Are you telling me you don't
Oh,
like
yeah.
Space Odyssey?
Space Odyssey was okay.
Never seen it.
What is right? Okay,
I've seen
I'm
it.
sorry. Your homework is to go and watch that.
Go
film.
away.
Space Odyssey is
I've seen
incredible.
It just sounds
Space
boring.
Odyssey.
You're
I thought
bad.
it was good.
The
I
Space
thought it was
Odyssey was
good.
made in the 1960s, and it looks
Yeah.
better than some films that are coming out
Oh
today.
yeah, absolutely. I'm not
It is
discrediting it for that.
amazing, and also it's a horror.
Maybe it looks good. I just from
Yeah,
what
I
people
can
have
see
told
it
me,
as a
it bore
horror.
me to tears.
Well, it's a horror thriller.
Okay, a horror I enjoy which has not been brought up yet, which is surprising. Alien. I would that sci-fi or
Oh my
horror.
God,
I see it
Good
as
point,
horror.
actually. Yeah, no, the first Alien film is definitely horror. Aliens
Brilliant.
is an action kind
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
It is action, but
Alien vs Predator action, but I would say the first Alien,
There's
brilliant.
that iconic shot in Alien where like the captain's climbing around the vent ducts and then he just gets pulled away and he's dead. That's it.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly
Until
a
that
good death.
point, you're always thinking, oh, the captain's got to be like, the main
Right.
character. He'll save the
This
day.
is the thing.
He just gets killed.
The reason why
Straight off.
Riley survives and she's a woman is because the person who created Alien, I've forgotten the name now, but they created it because it's a metaphor for rape and childbirth. That's why all the men die, because they don't have to deal with that problem.
All the women die as well, except
No,
for
except for
Sigourney Weaver.
Riley, yeah. The surviving person had to be a woman because he wanted to use it as a metaphor for rape and childbirth.
Women die as well in that film, though. There's like another woman on board. And
Oh, yeah,
she's,
there is.
She's brutally
That's a
murdered.
deep interpretation. I've
I
never
Yeah,
heard
that
before.
was-
never ever heard this. This is
No, that
new information.
for real. I found this out because I went to Germany and apparently we drove past a film set where Inglourious Basterds was filmed, some of it, and also where some of Alien was filmed. And I said to I don't know, one of the tutors there, you know what, I've always seen Alien as that's what childbirth would be like. And he was like, oh yeah, the person who created this guy, by the way.
So Ridley Scott, the director of the film,
Right.
said this apparently, right? And this is what you're telling me. Because I'm trying to look up this information now. I'm trying to
This is
fact
what I've
check
been
this.
told. I'm not saying it's 100%. This is what I was told,
I think
okay?
this is just some crazy German guy who came up with an interpretation. Was like,
No, this is my tutor who's basically walking IMDb. So
Okay, I mean I can't find this now, and I would love someone in the comments of either the Instagram post on this or the or on YouTube to tell me
someone
and
please
confirm.
back me up. Okay.
Confirm is Steph right? Is this true?
This is what my college tutor told me, and honestly, I would not be surprised if it was, because I always thought that's what childbirth was like, but instead of it exploding out of the chest, it explodes down there. But yeah, honestly,
Wow.
props to Ridley Scott if that's exactly what he was trying to come across. Because this was made in the 70s?
Yeah,
79.
73.
Second
Oh,
wave
is it
feminist
79?
No, I think it was the
First
revolution.
Alien was 73.
is it earlier than that? I thought it was 79.
It's
What's
73.
79 then?
The second one.
Yeah.
Oh no,
That's
it
it.
is 79.
Boom!
Oh, wow, you were
Still, the
I was wrong.
1970s was the second wave feminism. So,
I kind of want to buy into that though, because that's a cool interpretation.
yeah.
it's. I mean, it sort of makes sense, and
Yeah.
it's a little bit sexy as well, isn't it, with the like facehuggers and stuff. I don't
Whoa,
know.
whoa, 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 whoa. Back
Moving
up.
swiftly on.
Don't say that.
Okay.
We have
End of
another we
section.
have another question from Jules.
Let's hear it.
Okay, that's okay. Halloween film recommendation for the weekend is obviously for the end, so we'll do that later.
Not
Um,
Halloween 8, whatever you do. Just avoid it like the plague.
Does anyone have anything that they really want to that they really want to talk about horror?
Yes.
Does anyone? Does what? Okay, go ahead. I want.
The first Friday the 13th film is
Incredible.
not that good. Jason
It's
isn't even in it.
incredible.
He isn't even in it. His mum's
it's
in
the
it.
mum.
Jason isn't
You
there.
never
That's
see
the
that come in.
twist.
That's the twist. That's the point.
I didn't like it. There was no Jason.
Incredible.
Jason is like the face of Friday the 13th. He wasn't even in the bloody first one.
Or the second one. Well, he is in the second one,
He
but he
is
doesn't
a
have the
little bit.
mask
But
on.
it's like that's the twist. You don't expect it, but that's the point.
Yeah.
Because
And,
you're not
Enjoy.
expecting it, it makes it better.
and you're
Spoiler
talking
alert.
about practical effects. Friday the 13th is the king of practical
Oh,
effects. of
absolutely.
kills.
Well, the thing exists.
Okay.
And
Yes,
the-
well,
Oh,
but
the thing,
I'm,
yeah.
I'm a fan of Tom Savini, who is the makeup artist of many of the Friday the 13th films and loads of other horror films. Tom Savini's incredible. And that kill of, I mean, it looks fake as anything today,
Yeah.
but the kill of Kevin Bacon through his neck, brilliant.
Yeah.
that
Tom
is quite-
Savini's
that's
work.
that is iconic, actually.
Yes.
No, if you're talking
Yeah.
about practical effects, the thing, the kind of middle one, the one John Carpenter made, that is the king of practical effects. And you can't deny it
Okay, fair enough.
because it is utterly, utterly phenomenal.
You could say
What they managed
Star
to
Wars
achieve.
was great with
We're talking
practical
horror
effects.
here.
They didn't even have
we're
CGI.
we're
he was
only
doing
talking
blue
horror.
screen. Okay, he was doing green screen before green screen was a thing and it was blue. So George Lucas, maybe the king, but since we're on about horror,
Yeah, he doesn't.
Okay,
get
I
it.
will submit the thing, but Friday 13th will be second place then. I will.
I will allow
concede
you
that.
that if you accept that the thing has some of the best practical
Yes,
effects.
sure.
ever
right?
put to
But with
film.
Friday the 13th, too many sequels. They need to stop. Honestly,
Well,
But
they
it's-
have,
there has
they
to be
have
at least a
stopped. They have
dozen.
stopped, thankfully.
It is a classic
God.
though, isn't it?
Reboot, reboot,
don't you
reboot.
dare. No, you
Well,
know
actually,
how
a
I feel
short
about
film, a
reboots.
short
Has
film
one.
has just come out. I think called "Don't Walk in the Woods" or something, and it's something like that. And it's somebody doing a Friday the 13th fan film, and that's brilliant. That is. If they
Oh,
made
lovely.
a reboot like that, that'd be great. Friday the 13th actual sequels though, one's great, two's good, three is all right, four. Yeah, four's good, although it's called the final.
That took you a while
Four,
to decide.
well, I'm trying to because one of them's called the final. Yeah, four is the final chapter, and then they did about 7 more films after
Oh my
it.
god.
Amazing.
But then A New Beginning. This is as far as I've got. I've only got up to the first 5 because A New Beginning was so bad.
Hmm.
I haven't continued, and I've not even got onto Jason Goes to Hell or Jason Goes to Space yet.
Or Freddy versus Jason.
Or
Yeah,
Freddy versus
Jason,
Jason. I was about to bring that up.
Yeah.
What about Freddy versus Jason?
Same as
Gosh.
like Nightmare on Elm Street films as well. First one incredible, second
Loved.
one terrible, third one brilliant,
The
fourth
reboot
one
triggers
haven't got
me.
any further than that.
Do
The
you
reboot triggers me so bad. So awful.
Because Robert Englund
No.
isn't in it. Nobody else can play Freddy.
Do you not think though that this Friday the 13th, The Thing, all of these old films, Halloween, are they not just the monster horror trope though? And it is very much that
Yes.
now, and that is
Yeah.
their own genre of horror. And there
definitely
is
Slasher
more.
films.
There is
iconic.
definitely a monster horror trope, but then if you look at other horror films, so a friend of mine will appreciate me bringing this up, but one of their favourite horror films at the minute is The Lighthouse. They watched it like 3 times.
Oh my
in a
God, The
row.
Lighthouse
you
is
on
is
about-
the most amazing film I've ever
Yeah.
watched in my
I
life.
haven't seen it
You
yet.
He
know,
will
you need to
appreciate me
watch
bringing
it.
that up because
need
he
to watch
adores
it.
The Lighthouse.
Yeah, no, it's
Right.
incredible. Honestly, the only Lovecraftian horror film I've ever watched that has generally made me terrified leaving the cinema.
Yeah.
Incredible. Like watching that film
There
is
you go then.
amazing. You need
Yeah.
you need to see it.
So I'm
If
sure
you-
it will come as
Other
no surprise that I
psychological ones,
haven't
though.
seen it. I've barely seen anything besides slasher films.
You need to watch. You need to watch The Lighthouse.
What
I'll
about
get
other
around to it.
psychological horrors though? Like,
Well, would you count? Like I was just about to say this. Do you think thriller and psychological horror are they all horror or are
Yeah,
they
I would
more
definitely
of a...
say they're very iconic. They've left an impact on like the world of film because like American Horror Story 1987, not the best, but basically that was heavily inspired by Friday the 13th. A group of teenagers go from the city to this little camp to like work as camp workers, and there's a serial killer on the loose. It's definitely left a huge imprint on the world of film as a
Yeah.
whole.
So I don't know. So you'd say they'd count then at least. So
Oh,
Yeah,
they
I
yeah.
mean,
are-
if you don't count Silence of the Lambs as a horror film, which
Oh.
is purely psychological
Amazing.
horror,
Love it.
then
Mm.
you know if you count that but nothing else, then it's biased.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
biased to a good film over anything else.
Silence of the
wrong.
Lambs is definitely one of my favourite films, along with The Addams Family. Not a horror film, but definitely a Halloween film.
Amazing.
For sure.
Absolutely love The
Amazing,
Addams
amazing.
Family.
I prefer Adam's Family Values, but I still.
Oh my god. Iconic.
It's
Jules,
Camp Chippewa is too funny for me.
are all horror films 15 plus, or can you have horror films suitable for younger audiences?
Coraline.
Yeah.
That's the
Coraline is
PG.
the big
amazing.
example there.
There we go.
Although
I'm pretty sure it's still a 12 up.
Yeah.
I think it is, but then again, you could. Why would you want horror films for a younger audience? If horror is designed to scare you and stop you sleeping at night, why would you design that for little kids?
I'm
They're
sure
annoying
parents would
enough
murder
as it
you.
is.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure the parents would be like, listen, I want to talk to the manager of whoever made this. My
think-
child
Well,
can't
I think
sleep.
if you want to get spooky for a child, you have to go for spooky and not scary.
Or
Yeah.
So go for
Addams
Beetlejuice,
Family.
things like that.
things like the
Beetlejuice,
Scooby
Addams
Doo
Family.
specials, like those kinds of things.
Beetlejuice is
Yeah.
not appropriate for children. I don't know. what the
Beetlejuice
hell
is
you're
not.
Beetlejuice
talking
is
about.
brilliant.
I
One of
watched,
my
I
favourite
watched that when I
films.
was about 8. That would do.
I loved Beetlejuice.
I also watched Terminator when I was about 8 as well, so maybe not.
I
But
watched Resident Evil when I was 5, and my parents wondered why I came out like this. So.
Iconically, the worst zombie films ever made.
Resident Evil.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
awful.
Interesting.
have you seen Cockneys versus Zombies?
I
Oh my
don't need
God.
to. Have you seen Resident Evil?
Have you seen Pride and Prejudice and Zombies?
Oh my god, no! Stop! Stop!
I watched that film.
Jane Austen deserves the pain of that. Like
Oh.
her name is attached to
It
that
was
because
so
of Pride and
bad.
Prejudice. She
Imagine her
deserves
ghost
that.
watching over and going, "They've done what?"
No. So interesting you mentioned Resident Evil because I was thinking while we were sat here, I was thinking I don't find horror films particularly scary anymore. And you
Yeah.
guys obviously have all sort of agreed with this already.
Yeah.
But I do find horror video games scary, okay?
Yes.
That's a new
And-
level.
Yeah, and
That's new level
however,
scary.
should we be looking more at merging TV and film and modern streaming platforms? 'Cause we had talked. I think we maybe talked about this, maybe not as much as we should have. With okay, I'm trying to think of a good example. It's not a great example. Bandersnatch.
I knew you were going to
Oh
say
my
that.
God.
I knew you were going to give that as an
It's the
example.
only example I can think of a film where you are almost directly affecting what is happening as a video game would. Okay, it's sort of like a choice-based video game. That
Hey,
makes
a
sense.
Yeah.
Batman one has just come out where you can do the same sort of an interactive.
Has
Does
it on-
Robin live or does Robin die? That sort of
Oh,
thing.
amazing! I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Well,
Okay.
let him
Me
die,
neither.
obviously.
Yeah, I was like,
But
kill
no,
him.
How many times has he been replaced?
honestly,
So-
if you try and combine, like, you know, the experience of video games with films, it's never going to work out. Because if it's going to be a film, you have to limit their controls to a, point and click adventure. Alternatively, you could just sit down and play a video game.
Yeah,
That is a horror
I
game.
think what's scarier though, and what I find is obviously the kicker with horror films is I am more scared when people are doing exactly what you'd expect them to do in a situation. Oh, spooky basement. Hell no, I ain't going down there.
Yeah.
They do exactly what you want them to do, but they still come up against it, and I
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
that more scary. Like, for example, I'll bring it up again, but Insidious, I watched it recently. When stuff starts happening in the daytime, that's when I'm like, hell no.
Oh,
That
hell,
is
yeah.
scary. That is actually scary. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's sort of the infection of like, being worried about things that should be like, okay, it's not horror trope daytime. It's nice, sunny and stuff.
When things go bump in the night, you're kind of like, whatever.
Okay, yeah, whatever.
I'm about to get ghosted. It's fine. When things happen like that in the day, it's a lot worse.
Yeah.
That's why I actually, although it's 1974, I actually really like Texas Chainsaw Massacre for that reason.
Yeah.
90% of it in the day.
That is yet
Big
another
classic.
example of like Pinhead. No one knows where Pinhead's like what movie it is. Everyone knows there's Leatherface. Not many people know it's from
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Because the first time I saw that, I was like, I think that's absolutely incredible, that film.
Yeah.
Mainly because there's not a single drop of blood in it, and yet
Yeah.
it's so gory, but there's not a single drop of blood.
What,
Mainly
Texas
because
Chainsaw Massacre?
yeah, not a
Really?
not a single
blood,
drop of
no.
blood.
Famously.
Because the director Toby Hooper, who is dead now, but
Scared of
Rest in
he
peace.
said, I want this to be a 12 rating, or whatever the American equivalent is.
I think
So
it's
he was like-
Not
PG-13.
anymore, is it? I thought it was
They
PG-13,
18.
they
whatever.
revamped it, I think.
Yeah.
Well, he was like, I want it to be accessible, so he didn't put blood in it. There's a lot of things he purposefully omitted, and then the people who certificate these films were like, no, Toby, this is an 18.
You haven't done anything right. You've still made it an 18.
But I just find
Yeah.
that brilliant. There's like a bit where Leatherface grabs this girl, sticks her on a meat hook on the wall.
Oh.
She's screaming. You don't see a
There's
single
no
drop of
blood.
blood, but there's a bucket underneath her. So all you need, he's said it in interviews, he said, you don't need blood there. You just need your brain to put two and two together. There's a woman impaled on the wall. There's a bucket. What does the bucket do? Gathers her blood.
So
You
he
don't see
wanted
it.
this to be a 12, but impaled a woman.
Yes.
Phrasing.
Amazing.
But no, that's
Logic.
whatever was my original point.
Wasn't he
Daytime.
also cutting people
Yeah,
up with chainsaws as well? Is that not the point? I've never
You
seen
don't.
it.
Well, you don't actually really. That's more of one of the sequel things. The thing with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, we were saying about Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, and even Halloween, they gradually go downhill. Texas Chainsaw Massacre went immediately downhill.
After
First
the
one,
first one.
first one is so good, it's ridiculous. Second one was something like 16 years later, and we were now in the 80s, and they decided to give Dennis Hopper another chainsaw and went, go fight him.
Amazing.
So it's like chainsaw on chainsaw. It's so over the top. Loads of people like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 because Bill Moseley's in it and he plays a character called Chop Top. Chop Top's like a legendary horror character. Basically, like he picks his skull throughout like the entire film and just takes off bits of skin and stuff. Oh, it's horrible.
Oh, God.
Weird.
Okay.
Don't like that film. It's too over the top. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Oh,
the
but the
original
first one, impaling a woman. Oh, it's
Oh, yeah,
fine.
Paley Woman.
That's
fine.
Yeah, because that's
Taking off their
cool
head.
horror, but
There's
it's
no
like
blood. It's
I mean,
absolutely fine.
I mean, over the
kiddies
top
can
as in
watch
like
that.
the big booming soundtrack and stuff.
Yeah.
Like the first one
Yeah.
opens, if I'm not wrong. Oh my god, how does it open? Well, it opens the group are in that camper van driving around through Texas. A nice daytime. Second one opens, middle of the night, car chase, and a body being like used with strings to scare the other car. And I was just watching like, going, what are you doing?
It's
You've
gone
lost
wrong.
it already. But yeah, the point about daytime,
Lovely.
which was actually the original point of this,
Yeah.
is that when I was first watching it, I thought, right, when does Leatherface come in? Let's wait for it to get dark and he'll show up. So they open up this house and walk in, and I think, okay, this will be Leatherface's house, surely. He'll show up later. And this guy just turns around a corner and immediately, boom, down, hits onto the floor. He's sort of rattling about. Leatherface grabs him, drags him into the room and just shuts the door. And I was like, whoa, Leatherface. I didn't expect you to come in now. And then it's like another chase that happens is in the daytime. And it's all just like, anybody could see this. And that's
Yeah.
what sort of makes it scary.
Do you think it's more that also it's dealing with a bit of the unexpected and like it's not necessarily does it build up? Does that moment when he shows up does it have like
no,
the
there's
classic
no
build-up?
music or at all. It's just this
a
guy
jump
walks into
scare,
a
like,
house.
Hello, I'm
yeah,
here.
because they just
Does it work?
yeah, I think it does because I didn't see it coming at all because I was expecting it to it'd get dark, and then they'd
Need to
go
build
into the
up to
house.
it.
They'd all go
Yeah.
into the house, and then they'd pick them off one by one. No, this guy goes in, gets hit, down, dead. Straight away. And I
Amazing.
thought, well, that's the end of you then, isn't it?
I mean, I think horror as well is very, people are very picky about what they
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and
I feel
you will
like
like certain stuff.
something else horror which we haven't really gone in on. American Horror Story, one of my favorite TV shows, with the exception of Apocalypse and Hotel. I think are great. They deal with all kinds of different things. They have the house one, which is full of ghosts and stuff. They have Asylum, which is my favorite one. Freak Show, The Witches one.
Speaking
Apocalypse
of the
was
Witches,
bad.
actually, the Witches reboot. The
Yes,
Roald
that is
Dahl
actually
reboot.
coming. That's actually
Oh,
coming out in a
Another
couple of years.
Witches thing.
That's a thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
It won't be as
loved the
horrifying as the
original.
first one. The
No,
first
it
one
won't
is
be as good
generally.
either.
There you go. There's another film that's made
Yeah.
for kids.
Yeah, The
And
Witches by
was
Roald Dahl.
was horrifying.
I
That
saw
was
it's quite
also
terrifying.
the first ever Roald Dahl book I read as a kid, and he's still one of my favourite authors.
Yeah.
Bit
Yeah.
problematic, but we won't go there.
A little bit, but
Very, very racist, but
the guy was also born in 1900, so
true.
Yeah, kind of cursed.
He's
yeah.
still look,
Cancelled.
separate
Roald Dahl's
art from
cancelled.
artist. He was an
Oh.
Yeah,
excellent-
no,
Still a
I
great
love
children's
Roald Dahl,
author.
but I do sometimes and then especially that Bond film that he wrote, and he gets James Bond to dress up Japanese and does all sorts of
wrote it?
stereotypical
Ooh,
things,
yellow
and I thought,
face, okay.
roll, stop.
calm down, pal. I mean, he was
wrote
also
a Bond
Norwegian.
Film. Roald Dahl wrote a
So-
Bond film.
You only live twice. It's actually my favourite Bond film, but
I did not
besides
know that
from the
he did
Japanese
that.
bit, but
Did he write? No way.
yeah, you only live. Google it if you don't believe
I'm
me.
gonna
No, I
Google it.
believe you because
You only live
This is
twice. It's written by
insane.
Roald Dahl.
That's
Okay.
okay.
I didn't know that. Wow.
I have
yeah,
no
fun
response
fact.
for that. That's fantastic.
Um,
I'm a big Bond fan, so I'll just throw out facts like that.
next Bond film coming out next year as well.
Oh my
I mean,
god.
that's
Apparently,
apparently. Oh no, 2021 or is it
just-
2022? I can't remember what they said.
who knows?
I feel like Bond's been a bit overdone at this point, honestly.
Well, there's still a few books left to do, so.
Yeah.
Still got a few
Yeah.
things to
We can
milk.
still we can get a little bit more
Yeah,
out
wow.
of Daniel Craig.
Yeah,
In
even though
1966, Roald Dahl was approached by James Bond producers Harry Saltzman and Albert
Broccoli.
Broccoli, who asked him if he would be interested in writing the screenplay for You Only Live Twice, the fifth film in the Bond series.
No
and the best one.
way.
I'm
That's
shook.
insane.
I am shook.
Me too. I had no idea. Like, he went from being all cutesy, kids books, let's write and inspire kids and stuff to
James Bond.
Bond. Yeah.
Anyway, this isn't the Bond cast.
No.
No,
this
it was it was all in reference to the witches. Which
Okay.
is-
Yeah.
is
Oh yeah, that's how we
terrifying.
got there. I completely forgot.
Well, it's good to have a little ramble, but yeah, no, the witches, the sequel, not sequel, the reboot.
It's a
that's
reboot.
coming out.
Yeah, that's coming
Yeah.
out in a couple
I'm not.
days.
I don't
time.
appreciate that because the first one, the original, that was fantastic. It had
Yeah.
Rowan Atkinson in it as well.
Yes, it did.
See,
It
I
did.
thought. See, if it goes back to that point about the director's name and do you go to a film for the name though? I was the same. I was like, why are they rebooting The Witches? Then I saw written by Guillermo del Toro, and I thought, okay.
Really?
And directed by Bob
Oh.
Zemeckis, and I thought, Back to the
Oh.
Future, okay. And I thought,
Okay.
you've got a
Okay.
directing writing duo there. I very much appreciate. So maybe this
I
will
might
be
be
good
in
after all.
However-
Although, yeah,
I
Guillermo del Toro's done a
personally-
bit. Yeah,
I personally hate reboots.
yeah, that's fair.
I just hate them.
What before
and
before
you-
even watching them?
You need to
judge
go in
them?
hibernation for next year then.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
so
Texas
hide away.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween, Scream, Saw,
Let
they're
me
all
finish.
getting reboots.
Let me finish.
Next year.
Absolutely always despise. How many times in the early days of the film group chat I said I despise reboots?
Quite a lot, yeah.
Yeah, I just hate
There was a lot
them.
of
It's
reboot hate.
unoriginal. It's just not a thing. Just stop it. Like, there are students coming up with all these really great ideas, and they want to make them, and they come out kind of bad. The execution is always the best because they have a low budget. But there are these big Hollywood producers who are like, let's reboot every Disney film. Let's reboot things that have already been rebooted. Let's reboot Ghostbusters for the third time.
Hey, no, Ghostbusters Afterlife is going to be incredible.
It's
Bill
still a
Murray's back.
reboot.
It's so hard
That's
to
right,
get Bill
it's-
Murray in
it's
a
kind
film.
of
cast, the all female
Huh?
cast
No,
again, but with Bill Murray, or is it? Aren't a lot of them dead now from the original Ghostbusters?
Yeah, a lot
Only
of them are
Harold,
dead.
only Harold Ramey's dead, and the
Ah.
film's a tribute to him. So
Oh, that's cute. But
it's
still.
the director's son who is doing it. Who they've always said for years, people have gone, when are you going to do it? Jason Reitman. Dad's Ivan Reitman. He did the first 2 Ghostbusters. Jason Reitman's the son.
It's still
And for
the
years,
third
people were saying to him,
time.
when are you going to do Ghostbusters?
Yeah, but
And
he always
was,
said he didn't want to do it, right?
And he was like,
Yeah.
I'm never going to do Ghostbusters unless I have
Oh,
the right
because they
story.
did Ghostbusters 2 and it was horrible. It was basically the
I
same
like
movie.
I like
but just not as
Ghostbusters
bad.
too. I'm a
I'm
a Ghostbusters crazy person. I am.
However,
Well,
the
except the
Ghostbusters
reboot. but
film that definitely killed it off, 2016 feminist
Yeah.
reboot.
I don't even.
Oh my god.
I don't. If it's not got Bill Murray in it, I don't acknowledge it.
Didn't it have Bill Murray in it?
Did he not
Didn't he
have
make
a,
like a small
Is he-
cameo?
does he have a
I'm pretty
cameo?
sure he had a cameo.
Well,
in it,
unless
yeah.
it's Bill Murray as
One of the
Venkman,
Ghostbusters.
then I don't care.
I
Where was Venkman?
still don't think it should be rebooted.
Of course he
I
was.
feel
No,
like
he
the
was
original
Venkman.
He's
Ghostbusters is
Venkman.
perfect.
Dan Aykroyd is
Dan Aykroyd was
Spengler.
Spengler.
No,
No.
no. Howard Ramis Spengler.
Harold Ramis was Spengler.
Ernie Hudson's Zedmore.
He was Ray. Ray
Stance. That's
Stance. That was it.
it. Yes.
The only Ghostbusters that I trust are Sam Dean Winchester and Supernatural, also brilliant spooky TV series. So
Yeah, we've not really touched on TV, but I
Don't
feel
care.
like
They
this
don't
is
have
Yeah.
they don't have proton packs. I'm not bothered.
To be fair, with TV horror, you can get a lot more out of it because it's a
Yeah.
it's a long format.
can it
Have
have
we-
bigger build.
Well, if I mentioned it earlier,
Bly
but have
Manor.
we seen the Haunting series?
I've seen The Haunting of Hill House.
What did you think?
It was amazing.
Because I think Breaking Bad is the best TV series of all time, but I
Goes
think
without saying.
but I think the best series I've ever objectively Breaking Bad's the best. Subjectively, I think Haunting in Hill House is the best thing I've ever.
I
ever
honestly
seen.
think the whole thing was incredible, but I hated the ending.
In terms of
Oh, I loved the ending, but the thing we were saying about going back to that director point. But I watched that. A lot of people when it came out, I was like saying to people, I was in sixth form at the time, so I was like saying to a lot of people, going, "Oh my god, you need to watch this." And people watch it and they go, "It's not scary." I mean, I personally
Yeah.
find it terrifying, but people would go, "It's not scary." And I'm go, that's not the point, though. It's about the
Yeah.
stories behind it. It's about the family relationships. It's about the messages of grief and all this stuff. And people are just like, "But it's not scary." That's not the point.
The episode, which is 3 15-minute long shots, is honestly
Episode
one of the
6.
most incredible episodes
Yeah.
I've ever watched. Though that the acting and the camera work is amazing.
Yeah.
Like
Mm.
3 shots the entire episode.
Yeah.
That's
45
insane.
minutes.
And
it
it's the
was
fact they go-
insane.
That is
The fact they
impressive.
cut between 2 locations and 2 different times, but it still seems like one shot. That's
Oh my god, yeah,
Like
I
you
know.
walk up
Oh
a
my
corridor.
god, I would watch that episode. Oh my
like
God, yeah, it was
the
so
old
good.
version of the dad walks up that corridor, and then the camera pans around. So it's the young version of the dad, and we're in Hill House, and you're like, "What the hell? How did we get
Yeah,
here?"
it was so
Mm.
clever. It was so well done. Yeah, you need to see that.
Yeah.
That particular
I'll
episode.
put it on my list. But in
Some-
terms of horror series, has anyone seen Garth Marenghi's Dark Place?
No.
No, but I know it's got Noel Fielding and Richard Ayoade.
It doesn't
so
have
I'll
Noel
get
Fielding
around
in
to
it.
it.
Fielding.
Noel Fielding is not in that one. That's
Aw.
a mistake. It's got, I can't remember who plays Garth or the woman, but Matt Berry is in it and Richard Ayoade is in it. And
You
it's...
told me Noel Fielding was in it. Then I feel betrayed.
He's not
Noel
in it.
Fielding is a national treasure.
Yes, he is.
So
But no, that's a really good series. It's not really, it's horror comedy. It is quite horror comedy, but it was also really good.
Well, it's weird you actually mentioned that because I Google so much. I'm watching Blind Manor at the moment. Well, I finished it. Episode 5 was so confusing; it was ridiculous. I very rarely have to do this, but I had to Google Haunting a Blind Manor episode 5 explained. So I've had to
Watch a quick YouTube video.
Because I was
on,
watching it going, I don't know what just happened there.
yeah.
But after that, you know, you go on Google and you get those suggested searches based on what you've
Yeah.
Googled before. I got an article yesterday that was the haunting of, whatever you said. What's it called?
Dark Place.
Dark Place. The haunting of Dark Place. Then it was like,
Yeah.
going, you may have just finished Blind Manor, but here's this Garth. And
Marenghi's
explained
Dark
that. And I was
Place.
like,
Yeah.
what is the connection between these two then? It's weird that they mentioned that one.
Another TV series which I'm surprised we haven't touched on, Black Mirror.
We did mention Bandersnatch earlier.
We
actually.
mentioned Bandersnatch.
Yeah. Okay.
Slightly
It was
different, isn't
good
it?
until Netflix took it over and it just went to.
Well,
God, you do not like Netflix, do you?
Yeah.
I
mean-
despise them with a passion.
Well,
I
I'm here like
hate
Haunting
Netflix.
a Hill House is the greatest series. I'll stand on the Netflix front then.
I despise
no,
Netflix.
I stan. Hill
I'm kind of
House.
on the Netflix front as well, because like
Yes.
for
we're-
every
No.
bad thing they make, there's
They always
Three
do-
good things.
there's something
something
good
terrible
coming out of
comes
it.
out and you think,
Stranger
oh,
Things exists.
Stranger
and
Things season
everyone
1 was
loves that.
good. 2
Stranger,
and 3
Stranger
were...
Things can go
Mm.
die in a hole for all I care. It was honestly one of the worst Sorry.
Season 3
Yeah.
was
I
bad.
No.
I actually found season 3 quite fun. But the thing is, I like Stranger Things. The thing that, I mean, it makes me sound so elitist, but it's like the thing that annoys me at Stranger Things is the fan base. Because the amount
Oh,
of
God,
conversations I've had with people. Is it season 2? There's the episode where Eleven goes rogue and she's
Yeah.
like wearing all the
She just
An
goggles.
runs away
entire
to
11
Pennsylvania.
episodes.
Yeah.
Quite liked it. But I was talking to a lot of people going, well, it's a reference to the Lost Boys, and she has things with like the chopsticks and the thing, and everybody's like, people turn around to me and just go, what's the Lost Boys? I'm like, why are you
Oh
watching
my
this
God.
program?
I don't know what
if
Lost Boys is.
the amount of conversations I
Jesus
had with people, I go,
Christ.
why are you watching this program if you don't know what the Lost Boys is?
Lost
As
Boys
they're
is
in-
thing
fantastic.
that
as
I
they're there
really
in their Top Shop Stranger
hated-
Things t-shirt. I think, oh, don't talk to me.
The thing I really hated about season 3 is they suddenly, out of nowhere, decided Robin was gay, which I had a problem with because they built up the whole time that Robin likes Steve. Blah, blah, blah. I'm gay. There was no need for it. It's just forced queer.
I don't think so. I thought they did
representation.
it
It
quite
didn't
well.
feel forced to me.
No, I
It
didn't. I
seemed
don't
very
think so.
forced to me.
Although with Stranger Things, the one thing that I can't stand about it is the fact that I never did any of the stuff they did.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I
you
feel like I
suddenly want to
missed
go
out.
back to the 80s, don't you?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
buy and buy
that's
a
the
bike.
problem with 80s films. I always look at them and go, God damn, I wish I
To
was
be
there.
fair, the 80s was a golden age.
If you watch Top of the Pops from the 80s, you think, wow, this is amazing. If
Yeah.
you watch one news report from the 80s, you think,
Horrible.
my God, 2020 doesn't look so bad, does it?
Oh no, 2020. Let's talk about the scariest horror film. 2020.
I can't wait for all the lockdown films.
There
Oh
are
my
going to be
God,
so
there's
many,
so
aren't
many.
there?
No, I just
So
can't.
many.
They are
Breathe,
also all
Lonely
going to be
Lights.
fantastic.
Will
All of them.
they?
Yeah, of course they
Mm.
will be.
I'm
sure they
already
will be.
making a lockdown film for my first project.
Please
so...
stop. Cancel it now.
I was just about to say, how many first years are doing lockdown films?
Only one.
Too many.
Wow.
Us in my PTG. I don't know about the rest of everyone
Oh,
else.
okay.
I can actually speak for PTG5. None of us are doing a lockdown film.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
God. Well done. You've seen.
You've seen the light.
You've seen the
We're
light.
doing it, but basically it's not going to be the whole thing. It's going to be the first 24 hours and the initial impact of lockdown.
Amazing.
So not just, hey, we're in lockdown. Here's our 6 months in quarantine. So it's just going to be the initial impact of Boris announcing the COVID-19 lockdown.
Amazing.
So
Very good.
self.
But I suppose you have to also do it within lockdown at the moment. So
Yeah.
can be
So, but now I'm going
difficult,
to show the importance of technology as well.
Oh,
Because,
Anyway.
yeah, that's usually portrayed in a very negative light. So, hey, look how important technology is. So,
Speaking of-
amazing.
Going back to horror films and staying on tech though, there's quite a big trope in horror where like technology fails you and that's
Yeah.
the horror. Like 2001: A Space Odyssey does that. It's about, how goes rogue.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I was thinking this today, guys. But do you not think that HAL 9000 kind of looks like the Ring doorbell?
oh my god. Stanley Kubrick predicted the future, guys.
I mean, I was looking at Ring doorbells yesterday and I was thinking, oh my god, Amazon is turning into.
I am never ringing a doorbell again. From now on, I'm only ever knocking.
So, moving swiftly on. So, what do you guys recommend for films for people to watch over this
I would-
spooky season?
I would recommend.
You get one each.
Only one?
Yep.
Oh
That's
my
cruel.
god.
Only
Oh,
one?
That's
okay,
very
someone go
cruel.
before me.
Okay.
I need to think really hard about this. Someone else go.
You take point.
Go
You've
on.
done this
One.
before.
only one, as Highlander once said.
I don't think
Scotland.
Sorry for that.
Highlander said it. I think
Although
everybody else
Scotland's
said
a
it.
pretty scary place.
Sorry for that
The fact
1986 reference.
that Highlander was based around that the Queen, was it?
Well, they did the soundtrack.
They did the whole
for it.
soundtrack, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
What a good film, actually. That was.
Yeah, I loved Highlander.
That's a really
It's
good film.
Have you
amazing.
seen the sequels though?
No, I don't want to. I think
There are
it would spoil
sequels?
my opinion.
Second
of,
one,
Highlander.
second one is.
Lowlander.
I believe the second one is one of the few films to have 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
That's how
What?
bad it is.
Amazing.
Anyway,
That's
Wow.
some filth
only
tea
one
right
horror
there.
film. You see now, only one horror film. Obviously, I can't go for a deep dive into Halloween here, so I can't tell you which sequels to avoid and which ones to watch. So, of course, I'm gonna have to stay on brand, and I'm gonna have to go niche, and it was something that nobody will ever watch. But I've got to stick up for my Universal monsters. I've got to do it.
Go on.
So, Bride of Frankenstein, 1935.
We.
Go what? It's incredible.
Incredible.
You think, oh, what is this boring black and white film he's making me watch? It's not. It is so good. It is ridiculous. It's
So there
such
you
a
go.
good
Bride of
contemplation
Frankenstein.
on religion, sexuality, everything. For 1935, it's so good.
Love that.
Amazing. Barney, Steph.
I can go.
Good.
Horror film.
for that.
I'd probably have to say Insidious. It's very well done, very well written. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Amazing.
Spooky film. We said
Oh,
one
yeah,
horror
yeah,
I
film.
said one.
You
Whoa,
said one.
you've broken the
Horror
rules.
No, one horror film, one spooky
Your
film.
time's up.
Adam's Family, the OG. It's beautiful. It's amazing. I love it. Wednesday's my spirit animal. That's all I can say.
You have
Amazing. When-
cheated.
I
You have
don't
cheated
care.
the system.
You said one horror film. I said one horror
Um,
film.
I would recommend Hellraiser, but instead, I'm going to recommend a film I haven't mentioned yet, Donnie Darko.
Oh, amazing.
One of the most fantastic psychological horror films ever made. And the soundtrack's beautiful, and the ending I can't stop crying at, and it is utterly, utterly fabulous. Watch Donnie Darko. That's my recommendation.
My recommendation is watch the original It because I really like it. I think it's really fun.
Brilliant.
I
Love
think it's
it.
really fun. It was a really fun film. Amazing. Thank you so much, guys. It's been
Can I-
great.
No
Can I
problem.
do a little shout out before we finish?
Go on then.
Because I am vice president of the Horror Rock Society, it seems appropriate to say, if you are a fan of horror films and or alternative music, come check us out.
Horror Rock Society,
Horror Rock Society
at the University of
at
Salford.
the University of Salford.
Wow.
And can I
Amazing.
just say, on behalf of me and Steph, thank you for allowing us to come in here
Hell
and
yeah.
do this.
No,
So
no.
This was
cheers.
Amazing. No,
nice.
we need more. We need to get this
I
thing going.
mean,
and
hopefully you'll see me on the future episode.
I'm sure.
I
I'm-
would love
yeah.
to.
I do.
I'd
I
love
do
to
just
get
want to
that.
say
You need to complete your
Big thank you.
trilogy.
No.
big thank you
No,
for
no
letting
worries,
us do
thank
this.
you. Amazing. It's,
Yeah,
it's good to have
thanks.
people here. Go and tell other first years about the podcast. Get them interested. Get them excited.
Oh yeah.
We will follow us on Instagram, UOS_film production. If you're not, shame on you, honestly, for getting this far
Shame
through a
on you,
podcast
Barney, for
and
not following it up till
following
now.
it.
I followed it at the start.
Not good enough. But yeah, if you guys want to see more content related to things that you want to see, let us know on the Film Production Podcast page or the Instagram or on YouTube or whatever, because we do read it. We do care. Okay.
And
We
I'll
do
be
actually.
going through everyone's comments.
Yeah. And
I'll
we'll be,
best say nice
we'll be looking.
things.
We'll be there. Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for joining us.
No problem.
Aidan, Steph, Barney, beautiful, amazing people. Great to have you on.
Thank you.
Again, catch us on Apple Music, Spotify, Anchor FM, Instagram, YouTube, and all that fun.
It's
other,
all there.
it's everywhere.
find
Literally,
us.
you can't miss us. And if you're not listening and you're a student, honestly, shame on you.
10 years
Amazing.
bad luck.
Thank you. Mwahaha. Spooky season.
Spooky wookie woo.
Okay,
Ookie
great.
kooky spooky.
Thank you, guys.